Alright guys, I have not moved from this spot because I just came from filming another video, but then I realized I need to do my reading wrap up, and I'm going to be combining both December and January in this video, so let's just not waste any time and get right into it. I have a lot of books to cover, so starting with December reads. The first book I read in December, I believe, was, I'm gonna refer to my Goodreads list over here. And I don't have all of these books physically, and also couldn't think of all the books that I had read to find them all physically. But the first book that I have is going to be The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. This one is by Ali Carter, and this was like a really, I guess I would say a cute little rom-com for the holiday season. Wasn't my favorite. I don't even remember what I gave this one. I probably gave it like a 3 stars. I think I'm just not in a place where I'm like really loving and enjoying like romance books. That's the best way I can put it. So I give this book a 3 stars, but I would say for anyone that is looking for a book going into next holiday season that is a cute little like rom-com, this would definitely be the one that you would, I think, enjoy. This one follows our 2 main characters who are like rivals of sorts. They are, I believe they're both writers if I'm not mistaken, and they are trying to uncover and figure out what's going on with this said crime that has taken place, and they end up having to work together and develop a little bond, and it is cute. So this was the first book that I read in December, and I had a good time with it. This was actually my buddy read pick with Jessica, and I picked it. I had been wanting to read this book since not 2025 but 2024, so finally glad that I have been able to say that I read this book. The next book that I read, oh my god, I love this book so much. This one was Margot's Got Money Troubles. I need to buy this book physically because I don't own it physically yet, but this is one that I'm going to want to have in my collections, and I love this book. I really had such a good time with it. But this really follows a young lady who's named Margot. She ends up having like an affair with one of her college professors. She ends up having a baby with this professor, and she's a student. She doesn't have money. Her mom is useless in that regard, to say the least. She is very much more concerned with her own life and what she's got going on than being really there to support and help her daughter. So this book was just such an interesting read, because I think what really sold me on reading it is the fact that she created an OnlyFans to support herself and her child. This dives a lot deeper into like the emotional psyche of our main character and what she's going through, and really just her resilience to push through and do all that she can for herself and her child, and not letting anything really stop her from being able to support her and her child. She's not doing this OnlyFans for the sake of doing it. She's doing it to support and provide a life for her family, and I think that was just, I don't know, it was just such a good book. I loved it. I enjoyed it. 4 stars. Actually, no, I think I gave that one like a 4.5 stars across the board. That one was so good. Next book I have here is going to be The Shining by Stephen King. Oh my god, I'm so glad I finally read this book. I'm so glad I finally read this book. This one was so good. Another 4.5 stars. This is, of course, a Stephen King novel, and I found myself really gravitating and really enjoying his work of art. His writing is just really tangible and something that really just sucks me in, and I love this. I know this is a movie. I haven't seen it yet. I would have loved to see it in theaters, because I heard that like the 45th anniversary or whatever it was, they had put it back in theaters but didn't get a chance to see it. So I will watch that eventually, but I want Anthony to read it first. So this follows our main character, Jack. He has gone through some things. He just lost his job, and we find him in the very like first part of the book, where he is essentially going in for an interview to run this hotel that is in Colorado, up in the mountains, And it's like one of these places that, like, if it snows, you are getting trapped, and you're getting trapped for not days, not weeks, not like this storm where people were freaking out about. You're gonna get trapped there for months, and you can't get in, you can't get out, and you also can't make phone calls. Like, there's nothing that you can do. So we follow that. We follow him and his family as he goes to this hotel to start running it, and some really crazy things start happening, and I couldn't put this book down. It's a big one, which I'm finding is kind of the norm for Stephen King, but I promise you this is not going to be one of those books where you're like, I'm on page 357, I'm on 358. Like, you're not going to do that. You're going to be like, oh my god, just one more chapter. Just one more chapter. This is a one more chapter book, I promise you. Next book I have, cannot say the same. I don't really remember a whole lot about this book. I think I just didn't, it wasn't connecting for me. But this is going to be, I wanted to read a Christmas book. I really wanted to read something that gave me like festive vibes. It had some of that, but fell short for me. But this is One Big Happy Family, and this is by Susan Mowry. And I think overall it was a cute read. It's a quick little easy read, but I just got so annoyed and so bothered by like some of the characters. It felt very messy, which I think is like kind of what the cover tries to depict here. I mean, you got a Christmas tree with presents falling off. Like, it just gives kind of chaotic, and that's pretty much what I got from this story. But I didn't really enjoy it personally. I think I ended up giving this, I gave it 2 stars. So take what you will with that. I wish I had more to say, but I don't also really remember a whole lot about this book. So that also says a lot. Next book I read was a book that I had been wanting to read for, again, a little while, and that is We Used to Live Here. And I absolutely was sucked in from the very first page. This is, again, another book I need to buy, also because it's a very beautiful looking book, but I did enjoy the book. Question mark, did I enjoy the book? But yes, no, I did enjoy the book. I, in fact, gave this book a 4 stars. This one was a thriller book. It is more along the lines of like a psychological thriller. There was a lot of moments where it left me kind of questioning, like, is this person crazy, or is any of this real? Like, what's really going on here? I don't know. And it is a book that will give you like really creepy feelings. This is not a book that I really would read late at night if you're someone that is jumpy or scared or doesn't like horror things. Because there are a lot of like elements where you're like, ooh, don't go down that dark hallway. But yeah, I did really enjoy this book. I think it's also been so hard lately for me to find like really enjoyable thrillers, and this one was definitely one that was higher on my list. Still not the best thriller that I have read. I'm still on the hunt for like one that I'm like, yes, really love this book. But this one was definitely something that I would recommend to people. I would definitely say, like, if you're looking for a thriller, yeah, pick this one up. You're probably going to enjoy this book. All right, if the angle looks different, that's because I had to stop for a second because Anthony had just come back from the gym. But while he is in the shower, I'm going to keep talking about books. So I think I left off by just kind of saying that we are following this couple, Charlie and Eve, who have just recently bought this house for like this amazing steal, and they are trying to flip it. And they really need this house to flip and be successful. And while I believe Eve is left in the house one day while Charlie is out doing a few things, but there is this ominous, mysterious knock at the door. And when Eve goes to the door, she finds a strange man there with his family, claiming that they used to live there years ago and asking if it would be alright to show the kids around. Eve, who is more of like a people pleaser at heart, doesn't really know how to say no to this, even though she is very much uncomfortable with the idea and doesn't feel safe to have these people come into the home, especially when Charlie is not there. Lets them in anyways. This is like one of those like scenes in a movie where you're screaming at them like, what are you doing? Why are you letting them in your house? If you don't feel comfortable, just say you don't feel comfortable. Why are you letting them into the house? And so we just kind of follow that story with Eve and this weird family, and trying to unpack what is really going on. And like I said, this book had me on the edge of my seat until the very end. Even when I got to the end, I was like, I'm so lost, but in a good way. It was a good book. Again, 4 stars, highly would recommend. Next book I have is actually my book club that I'm doing at work, and I had picked All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby, and that got picked, so that was my next book. Shout out to one of my managers who actually gave me her copy, because she was like, you know what, I just can't read the physical, I'm just gonna listen to the audiobook. So shout out to her for that. But everyone that I've ever heard talk about thriller books at some point or another has mentioned S.A. Cosby's books, and so this one just seemed like a good one to pick up and kind of jump into, and so I did and had a good time with it. I would say overall this was like more of a 3.5 stars for me. I don't know, I heard he is like the king of thrillers, and maybe this just wasn't the right book for me, but I didn't feel like invested in the story. I'll break it down. I'll come back and circle back to my actual thoughts. But pause here, because if you're hearing a lot of noise in the background, I do apologize. My mother-in-law is out in the living room. She has, started her own business for like hair care and skincare stuff. So she's out there packaging things up. If you would like to purchase anything, she's got amazing hair oils, butters, lotions, things of that nature, bath salts. Oh my God, the lavender bath salt put me to sleep. I will link it down below, but you can hear her packaging and probably also hear the shower. So I do apologize in advance for all the noise. I will do my best to try to edit that and whatnot, but you'll probably still hear some. So, long story made short, my overall thoughts of this book, I started the book and was instantly hooked because it really does start off with a bang. But I think as we start getting more into the story, trying to uncover the mystery behind it all, I really started to lose traction with the book. I started to kind of like try to guess what was going to happen, and then when the ultimate reveal happened, I was kind of left feeling a little bit flat and thinking that we could have maybe done things a little differently. But overall, 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it. We follow Titus, who is our main character. He lives in a small town in Virginia, which I love because I live very, very close to Virginia, 2 seconds away. And so it always feels like something I can resonate more when it's something that involves like my surrounding areas and stuff like that. But we follow him. He is the first Black sheriff to be elected in this small town. He was previously an FBI agent, so he has a lot of understanding on things that aren't really as they should be, even though this is, you know, like your classic hometown that is like filled with really like wholesome people, yummy food, cornbread, community, just all that stuff. There's some secrets that need unfolding and uncovering that are building and boiling to the surface. And as we follow that, a year to the day after Titus' election to become the sheriff, some things go down at this high school where there are some things that kind of explode and implode, as we say. So this book was good. Do wish that the ending was a little bit different, but overall, as of being my first S.A. Cosby book, I had a good time, and I'm definitely going to be reading more of his books. Then as we get further on into the end of December, I was like, oh my God, I'm so close
to reading 100 books. I just need to finish this. I need to get there for my own peace of mind and sanity.
Otherwise, I'm going to be upset with myself. So I was like, I'm just going to start reading some short stories, like little novellas that I can quickly get into. So these ones, I'm not going to go into any grave detail. I'll just tell you the names of them, what I rated them, and go from there. I picked up a Grady Hendrix. I think it's like an Amazon original novella, but this one is The Blanks. This one was quite weird. It's like these weird, I don't even know what you would call them, like these like walkers. I don't know, they're like weird, almost like zombie people. And we kind of follow that story and like our main character, as like she's trying to like protect her family and herself. I think her name was Rachel or something like that. I don't know, this one was weird and felt like a fever dream. Wasn't my favorite. I gave this book a 2 stars. I also read The Ex-Wives Club. I absolutely love the first Wives Club. And so this made me feel like it was going to be very reminiscent of that. And this is by Sally Hepthorne. I don't remember a whole lot about it, if I'm being honest. I also gave this one a 2 stars, so that leads me to believe that I didn't enjoy it. I don't think short novellas or like novellas like this where I don't have a lot of background information are really my thing. The last one I read was Staged, and this one I gave a 3 stars, so this one I ended up doing a little bit more. And I do remember it. It felt intense in a good way for it being a short story, that it left me kind of wanting more. But yeah. The last 2 books that I read that month was Daisy Hates and The Great Undoing. I told myself, and I had my TBR jar, which I did not get to all the books, I'll be honest. I did not finish all the books in my TBR jar, but I'm very close to reading all of those. I have a whole shelf out in the living room dedicated to like books I'm trying to read that I have physically. So I'm slowly breaking down with that, but this was the 4th book in the Magnolia Parks series. And yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know if I'm going to continue the series, if I'm being honest. Not because of the author. There's a lot of, I know, things happening with the author that people are not very supportive of. Granted, understand that completely. I am someone that tries to stay away from that and try to separate the author from the work. So I didn't really want to put myself or pigeonhole myself in a way where I felt like I couldn't continue the series if I enjoyed the series. And I think the first book I really, really enjoyed, but as I'm getting further and further into the books, I don't know if I'm loving it as much. I will tell you this, I do not love the Daisy Hates books as much as I love the Magnolia Parks, so I don't know if that says something more about me or not, but we'll see. I may pick up the next one, which I think goes back into Magnolia's perspective, and see where things go from there, but I didn't really enjoy this one. This one I gave a 3 stars. I was more so just kind of like, I just want to finish it, but I also think that I was really overwhelmed by this point in the reading year, that I was just like, just finish the book. You don't have time, just finish it. You're on a time crunch. And I think if I didn't feel that way, it would have maybe gone a little bit smoother. I don't know. Last book I read that month is going to be Coraline, and this one is one of my all-time favorite books, even from childhood. I love this story so much. We basically follow a young girl named Coraline, and she has recently moved to this new place, and she kind of, I would say it's almost like a fever dream, Alice in Wonderland kind of situation, where she finds this place in like this little door in her home, and she goes into the door and she travels basically to a new dimension, or an alternate universe of sorts, where she has her other mother. And we follow that story. If you haven't read Coraline, I highly recommend. This is a book that I will probably reread forever. I gave this one a 5 stars. The movie is also really, really good, so I highly recommend checking those out as well, or checking that out as well. But those are all the books that I read in December. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books in December, which is, whew, I was definitely praying that I would get to 100. And once I got to 100, I was like, cool, I don't want to look at another book for like the next 2 weeks. Now we'll get into the books that I read in January, and I have all of these books physically, I believe. Yeah, I have all of these. So all of these books that I have, I own. I read them all physically. I can take them off of the TBR shelf, and I can feel good that I read them. One book I did just recently buy, but we won't talk about that just yet. So first book that I read, and the first book of the year, which is crazy. I don't know why I started off with this monstrous beast, but that is Alchemized. Alchemized, and this is by Sin Lin Yu. Did not know this was a Harry Potter fanfic. This was like a Draco and Hermione like kind of fanfic. Didn't know that. But yeah, I read this book. It was a beast. It was a lot. It's broken down into 3 parts. The magic system, I believe, in this is done really, really well. I would say I didn't even know that it was a Harry Potter fan fiction when I was reading it. It wasn't until I made like a TikTok and people kept saying it down below, and I was like, oh, this must be like another book by this author. I'll check it out once I'm done with it. And then I realized this is like the officially like published book. So I was like, oh, that's what's happening here. But yeah, I think she did such a great job because I wouldn't have really correlated it to Harry Potter necessarily. I think she took a lot of things from Harry Potter and made it her own, which I think is something to be commended. She did a really good job of doing that. I just think it was far too long for my taste. This book is over 1,000 pages. It feels like it's over 1,000 pages. I could not physically hold this book, so I ended up putting it down and picking up the audiobook, which I think really helped me get through this book a lot faster. The first part is really mundane and boring, where we are just kind of following our main character walking around the grounds of this manor, and it is kind of boring. There are trigger warnings I would recommend people checking out before they even pick up this book, but again, for me, I didn't feel triggered by anything in this book, and that's me personally. I think it's one thing to state that things are happening, and it's another thing to actually show it. I feel like I was being told and not shown, so it didn't really land for me. I think the second part threw me off because I was like, how do we end here and then get to this part? And then it slowly started to make sense. And then for me, when we got to the third part, it felt very rushed. So I don't know. I'm very conflicted on this book. This was the first book that I think I've read where I really didn't know what I wanted to rate it. I still go back and forth on it. I think I want to really like take my time with rating books now, and I sat with it a good bit, and I think ultimately I want to give this book like a 3 stars. This was not my favorite, so we're gonna leave it at 3 stars and keep it there. It's been almost a month since I read this book now, so I feel like it is safe to say that. Next book I read, and I did recently do a reading vlog, so you I guess would have seen that before this video goes up, but that is Seduction Theory, and this is by Emily Adrian. This is a book of the month book I got a couple months back. Very, very short, and even though it's very short, don't be fooled. This book was very hard for me to get through. I felt really overwhelmed. The print was really big. I thought that was going to help me. It didn't. The chapters were very long. I think there's only like 6 or 7 chapters in this book, but each chapter is like sometimes 40 pages, so that became very overwhelming for me. And the characters, I was over them. They were problematic and annoying and frustrating, and just I didn't like it. But you will see more of my thoughts in that reading vlog, so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It is this one. Yeah, this one I gave a 2 star. That sounds about right. The next 3 books that I have, because I read a total of 5 books in January as of thus far that I have finished. I have one more book that I'm reading, but I don't think I'm going to finish it in time for this January wrap up. But these are all bangers. So take out the notebooks, make a list. If you haven't read any of these, put them on your list, because I'm telling you right now, you need to read them. This book, I'm never going to be able to shut up about. I'm pretty sure. Project Hail Mary is in the same reading vlog as Seduction Theory. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir is such a phenomenal book. If you are someone that's like, I don't like sci-fi, I don't want to be overwhelmed by the language and the lingo and all that stuff, you don't need to worry about that. That doesn't exist here, okay? Yes, there are different like terminologies and stuff that are used in this book. Math is also a good part of like some things that take place in this book, but I promise you, you will not even have a second to even overthink or think about any of it, okay? This is a very character-driven book. This one is just so endearing, so engaging, leaves you on the edge of your seat. We meet some pretty surprising and really interesting, fun characters or character. In this book, oh my god. It is turning into a movie with Ryan Gosling. If you didn't know that, I think it comes out in March. I'm very eager to go see this. I love this book, so I want to see it come to life. But we follow our main character, Ryland Grace, who wakes up in a space shuttle in outer space from a medically induced coma and is like, what is going on? Who am I? Where am I? What's happening? He has no recollection of anything, and so we kind of follow him on this journey of uncovering what he's doing, why he's here, who he is, and he ultimately realizes the fate of humanity is left in his hands. He has to save Earth, and we follow him along that journey. And like I said, we meet a pretty surprising and very lovable character along the way. So I cannot recommend this book enough. If you haven't picked it up, please do. Please do. I promise you, you are not going to be disappointed. This next book, oh my god, this is like one of my most anticipated books of the year. I read her first book, I want to say, like, not that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. But that is Jennette McCurdy's new book, and this is an actual fiction book that she wrote, and that is Half His Age. I have a lot of thoughts on this book. This was unhinged, gross, and I loved it. That's the best way I can put it. The language, she does not shy away from the language in this book. She's very blunt, she is very transparent with everything, but I think this really depicts a young girl who is having an affair with her high school creative writing teacher, and he's like this man in his 40s, married with a kid, all that stuff. And how she describes the relationship between the two really, I think, depicts what it would look like to be in a relationship with such a huge age gap, and what that looks like in terms of manipulation of the older person to the younger person. So I don't know, I think she did a really great job with this. I think even how she talked about the person she was in a relationship with, Mr. Corey, she only ever called him that, I think also just goes to show like how this was kind of messing with her psychologically. And you can tell every step of the way she knows this relationship isn't good for her, she knows this isn't right, but she keeps going back. I don't know, I think she did a fantabulous job. She also narrates the book herself, so if you would like to listen to the audiobook, I think that would also be really great. But I had a really good time reading this book. It's also very short. I think it's like 200 and something pages. Honestly, you could read this pretty quickly. All right, so the last book that I have on my list is a reread. That is because my work's book club picked this book, and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind rereading it. That is going to be Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this book. It is Atmosphere, a love story. That is the actual title of the book. But I loved this book so much. I just finished it this morning. I don't know if anybody else in my book club has even cracked a dent in this book yet, but that is okay. This basically follows our main character, Joan, and tells her the story of her becoming an astronaut, what that's all about, her family life. She has a sister that had a child very young, and the sister just like not there, not present, so how she also takes on that parental role for her niece. And it is ultimately a love story between Joan and another character. And let me just tell you, the end of that book, even rereading it for the second time, I knew what was going to happen. I was still on the edge of my seat. Like that. If you just want to know what I'm talking about, just go to TikTok, go to YouTube, anywhere, and type in Atmosphere and see if you can find people's reactions to the ending, and you will get what I mean. People are left literally sobbing, gobsmacked, jaw on the ground, like panicked, and it is the best and worst feeling at the same time. I love this book so much. I cannot stop raving about it. Taylor Jenkins Reid is definitely one of my absolute favorite authors. This book, Carrie Soda's Back, is definitely the high ones up on my list, but you can't go wrong with any of her books. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Malibu Rising, Daisy Jones and the Six are all amazing. I need to get to her backlist of books, but overall, loved it and loved this book. 5-star read. Those are all of the books that I have read between December and January. If you have found any of these books interesting, let me know what they are in the comments down below if you plan to read them yourself. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.